Hey folks, this is Walker, one of the two hosts of Idio Talk. Just wanted to drop a little note here at the beginning of the episode and let you know this is a really fun one. You're going to enjoy it a lot. We discussed Radiohead's second album, The Bends. However, just a slight audio issue in the end of this episode. For the last couple songs that we play, they're a little loud in the mix, and some of our commentary as we discuss them is a little hard to make out while the music is playing. It's not a big issue, but just wanted to let folks know in case you did notice it. And other than those last couple songs, everything should be clear as a bell. This was only the second episode we recorded, so bound to be a couple issues here and there. But after this, smooth sailing, I promise. And Radiohead fans will know that's the name of a Radiohead song. All right, enjoy the show. We'll see you next week. Bye. Hey listeners, welcome to Idio Talk, a Radiohead podcast hosted by the Glenn brothers. I am one of said Glenn brothers and one of your hosts. My name is Walker Glenn.
And I'm Zach Glenn.
Last time when we left off, Zach, Radiohead had, according to one side of the story from their record label, 6 months to get sorted.
Right, which is like really high expectations. It takes me 6 months to write a song with 2 chords. They were doing a lot of work.
Some of these songs have 3-4 chords.
Yeah. Well, I was being a bit facetious because there's you had to pay for the article on Wikipedia, which I found was odd. I think I got scammed. But in one of the breakdowns, Thom Yorke. When I say Thom from here on out, we're not talking about Thom, the drummer of The Smile. But Thom said that...
And we're not talking about Tom Bombadil from...
No, and his yellow boots.
And his yellow boots and his jeans. Doesn't he wear a lot of jeans?
No, nobody in The Hobbit wears jeans. Doesn't he wear hammer pants?
It's like, Tom Bombadil was decked in denim from head to toe. Picture Jay Leno in yellow boots.
He had just got a cool striped tee from Anthropology. No, not Tom Bombadil. Thom Yorke, though.
So insulted.
Well, it's just funny that, like, I don't even think denim existed when J.R.R. Tolkien wrote those books.
Existed when Middle Earth was real?
Yeah. So there's a quote from Thom Yorke, though, that they were trying to fit as many chords into each song as was possible, and it kind of became like a competition.
A cheeky game.
Yeah, a little bit of like Pekka measuring. Did I say Pekka in England? And who'd win that contest? Colin.
Yeah.
But
Big Dick Colin over there.
Yeah, BDC. But I think that that really comes through in a good way too. I think there's a lot of bands that are really being ambitious, and sometimes it can just come off oversaturated and too busy. But I think that it really works, and I'm glad that they reined it in, and as the albums continue to go. But I think there's some songs where it's just like, whoa, going a lot of places, in just a verse alone. Starting with Planet Telex, and I think you wanted to make a correction about this song musically.
I did. I said Planet Telex had a key change, and I'm not sure that it did, but it does have. It is bookended by a opening and then used again at the end. It's like an intro outro section on the piano. We'll listen to it in a few minutes here. That is distinct from the main progression of the rest of the song, but I think listening to it as much as I have the last couple weeks, I think it might all be in the same key.
Do you want to play it? Just because right away, I think just by like the intro is a little soft, kind of wind blowing, but musically, I'm so much more engaged than Pablo Honey. Are you? Like, do you kind of, I know we love this album more, but like from this song alone, just comparing apples to apples.
You know what, Zach? I'm going to have to go ahead and push back a little bit and say I'm not going to play it right now.
No, I was asking.
Because, and the answer's no.
Oh, right.
And the reason is because I want us to just get into a little bit before we kind of break it down song by song here.
Yeah. Sorry, that was hasty.
No, don't be sorry. You do you on this podcast we do not apologize. Even when we say things that are ignorant and harmful, which is called podcasting. No, what I wanted to do is just maybe get into a little bit of the background here and then get your general thoughts on
Totally.
So
I feel really uncomfortable since our fight.
Yeah, no, I know. It's hard to get bitch slapped in public like this. I think you're doing a great job. This is me. I'm feeling so threatened by finding out that Colin is older than Johnny that I'm like now doubling down and mistreating you.
Well, where did we leave off? We were talking about just sort of what the band had been doing in their off time, and you had to put your foot down again last week, if I recall. But hang on, Zach, we'll get to it in the bends.
Take it easy there, brother.
But I know from my guitar teacher, I mentioned him before, Scott Namany, who I've been thinking about for the last week and how cool he was, that the band really did a lot of growth and education musically from Pablo Honey to the Bends.
Yeah. So where we left off is they are burnt the fuck out from huge American tour.
Jumping in swimming pools.
Yeah, European tour. They're a little bit like unsure about like what kind of image they're presenting. And I think what happens is they decidedly take more control over what they're doing this time. It's not the rush job that it was on Pablo Honey. This time they have a lot more open-ended time in the studio. They have a new producer, John Leckie. They are running the boards also. So the additional production on this album is credited to Radiohead, Jim Warren, and then a name that is going to come up a lot of other times throughout this podcast, Nigel Godrich. Who will produce, if Radiohead do in fact have albums after this, he produces every single one.
Yeah.
And so not only is this their first collaboration with Nigel Godrich, this is also their first collaboration with artist Stanley Donwood.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought that was the next one. That's cool.
No, he does all the album artwork on this. I mean, the cover is a kind of a repurposing of an image that is not made by Stanley Donwood, but he does all the liner note art and everything like that on this album. Okay. And he'll do all the album artwork from here on out. He's Tom's, and again, we're talking about Thom Yorke, singer of Radiohead. He's his art school mate. And so
that's funny because he looks like decidedly older than him.
Maybe he is a few years older, but in any case, they know each other from art school, and he will work with Radiohead on all their albums from here on out. All that to say, in my opinion, this is the album where Radiohead becomes Radiohead. And even though it is distinct from what will be a further maturation of their sound from here on out, this is the first album that is kind of Radiohead putting their flag in the sand and saying, we have our own ideas about like the image that we're presenting here. There's a very clear aesthetic, and there's a sound that is much more individual and much more distinct than we were dealing with on Pablo Honey. And with that, I want to hand it over to you and say, what are your general thoughts about the Bends? I've been listening to it a lot, so have you. Hit me.
Well, I'll do a younger brother power move and ask your question, or answer your question with a question. Do you think that the silicone toy on the cover looks like Thom Yorke?
Yes.
I've heard that that's intentional.
Oh, interesting.
So a little food for thought there. But I think my general thoughts are it's great. I echo a lot of your thoughts there that they really kind of come into their own, and there's something decidedly different happening with this band in comparison to other popular acts of the time. On the album cover again, I think that it is also like such a tide turner, and it's so cool that they were able to do that by album 2. It is very 90s imagery, which I love the 90s, but like it is also just like another band I could see having that album cover. Okay, Computer? Nuh-uh. That's well, I haven't heard that album yet, but the album cover is very unique. So that's kind of, for me, the stamp on the whole album is so great, but still just a lot of influence from other artists and other. Of course, they're always going to be influenced by other artists, but still of its time in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. This. I agree with everything you're saying. This album is, has a style that is specific to Radiohead, but it still is a little more nestled in that 90s alternative rock sound than what they would do from here on out. I gotta say, I don't know if I've ever listened to this album as much as I have in the last couple weeks, and I really love it. And with that, should we get into the album itself?
Yeah, I just want to do a little tease. This album does feature one song that is definitely in my top 10 favorite songs of theirs, and two songs that are in my top 20. And I'm not going to say what they are, so we can go.
Okay, so that's a nice tease. And I will also tease that I have both a take that I think will annoy Zach about a song, and I honestly hope to God it's not the song that is in his top 10 songs.
I feel like it could be.
I think it might be too. We'll see.
Man.
And I also have what I consider to be a hot take about this album, a revisionist take, if you will. And with that, you heard it a little bit last week. We're going to start with the opening of the Bends, Planet Telex.
Which stays in the same key the whole time. Listen to that wind.
Already a little bit of like we've discovered some new sounds and some new techniques.
Yeah, they I think in the studio I picture them going, okay, computers. Like, because that wind feels like a computer.
Hold
effect.
on, mate. What'd you just say? Did you say okay, computers?
It's already named.
Oh, mate, I like that. Right now we're going to focus on the Bends, yeah? But later, we'll see if we can't do something with that.
Well, in this bit, I like to imagine that the Bends didn't have an album title yet, and they're like, we'll think about that later. What are you going to go do? I'm just going to go down in my diving bell. And I'm filming.
Hold on, mate.
I watched The Abyss last night.
Okay, now, Planet Telex, this is a single from the album.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Or it's the B-side of the single with, I think, like fake plastic trees.
So that distortion. Or whatever effect he's got going on.
Yeah, there's like a tremolo on there. And I think Ed is also doing just a like on his guitar.
Yeah, God, I'm just bursting at the seams with like who's doing what.
Yeah,
and
speak on it.
So, I don't know. The thing I love about Johnny Greenwood on this album and the next one is that the guitar work is so adventurous. Or is it? Because he's working off of, I think Johnny Greenwood plays a Strat most of the time. And a Strat's a great guitar. But like his effects board and pedal at this time is still just like something you or I could buy and probably operate. Not as well. But like it is really, really cool what they're able to pull off with a relatively basic setup. And not in this song, but I think The Handsome Man does have little inputs that are hard to pick out. But are decidedly there. So it just feels like a really strong group effort. And I think Phil is crushing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that we should maybe even play a little game of what is the handsome man doing in each song.
I'm super down.
But, Zach, that is actually a very astute observation because there is a concentrated... there is a very intentional effort on this album to be a 3-guitar band. This was actually consciously figured out by the band, and the way it more or less breaks down is on every song, Thom is playing rhythm guitar, Johnny is playing lead, and Ed is doing the effects. Now, I don't know if it's a hard and fast rule that is how it goes on every single song, but they are very much embracing the fact that they are a 3-guitarist band. On Pablo Honey, on quite a few of the songs, it's 3 guitars playing more or less the same thing. And I think they're really, really figuring out
that it looks stupid for a 6'5" man to just be playing a tambourine all the time with a guitar around his neck.
And we're going to talk more about Radiohead's live appearances during this time in the next episode. But I have to imagine this had got to be such a fun time to see them live because they're really doing a wall of guitar sound, and they're a rock band at this time. And then here it comes. Now, the other thing I want to say about this choice of an opening track, if I'm the head of EMI and I hear this, right, as your opener for the album, I'm a little scared, right? Because I fucking signed you because you have Creep. Like, I'm the head of EMI, I hear this, I'm like, boys, get in my office now! And you be the boys.
Oi.
What the fuck is this, mates?
Yeah. I can't do that. I don't know. But mild energy of just like, yeah, it's good. It's good.
Yeah,
you know when Thom gets pissed and this is an audio medium, but there's one interview where he gets visibly annoyed and he doesn't go like, I want you off the fucking set. He doesn't do that. He goes, yeah. He gets short.
Oh.
And I wonder if when the head of EMI, Mr. Darling from Peter Pan, calls them in all angry, if if they're still kind of in, what is it, sir? Or if they're fully confident and like, no, this is what's coming out.
Well, that's what I think they're fully confident.
I feel like there's some songs coming up here that are very much like, put that on there.
I could not agree more, but I think as far
just as an opener,
I think as far as the attitude they're taking, because to me, it's like I said, I'm the head of EMI. I'm like, we had a nice fucking thing going with Creep, and then you pour this bloody shite, put the Planet Telex. The fuck does that even mean?
We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. Bit fun, isn't it?
Yes, there you go. That's what I was trying to harness.
And then, almost as if to go, look, we understand you got a business to run here.
Yeah.
Mr. Head of EMI.
Yeah.
The next song.
We'll scratch your back.
The next song, they say, yeah. Well, listen to track 2, man.
Disagree. I think even just the bring it out is like a little bit artsy, and EMI head would be annoyed.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
Lose this bit of talking.
Yeah.
We won't.
But compare this.
So this is the title track, The Bends.
Yeah.
A very, very radio-friendly song.
Very much so, but let's listen. Now, compare that belted hair that is still reminiscent of our friend Bono. But compare that to the one note that we liked in the song Not Creep. I believe it's You, off Pablo Honey. God, these fucking song titles. But compare that belted note to this one, and I think there's just a little bit more confidence behind it.
Absolutely. And also, this is a straight-ahead rock song, but you can hear Johnny Greenwood, most likely. He's playing some sort of like Hammond organ there. Now, okay. I gotta tell you, this is not my favorite song.
Me neither, but it hasn't happened yet because I fucking love this part.
I really like the verses. This verse.
I think we're going to dislike the same part.
Yeah,
I don't want to hear about your girlfriend.
Oh my God, Zach.
I have a theory on where that came from, though. I think this is Ed O'Brien's input, because who has a girlfriend but Ed O'Brien? And he's like, I got this little bit. Yeah. And like Tom York was like, what the fuck? And he's like, just trust me. People will relate to people like date.
Yeah. People have girlfriends.
Yeah. 2 in my case.
So, okay, actually, here it comes. Let's play the part.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about this part, too. That is so funny. So, here we come. This section.
But the drums, killer.
I don't like the production on the drums.
I don't either, but
Okay, here it goes. But this is fucking cool.
Yeah, because it alternates.
Yeah.
It goes to the minor.
Oh, that's good.
We both went with no planning at the same time and grossly bit our lip.
Yeah. Guys, if you could see the amount of satisfied faces made on this podcast.
But like, I think you can sort of gauge, this is a really big fucking stretch, but like the gyrations a song makes your body do, if they're more rudimentary, you better believe that the song might be a little bit, oh, this is fucking tight. But like, this song makes me want to just like rock in a simplistic way, bang my head, maybe a little jettisoning of the hips, but nothing overly complex about it. Oh, fuck, and then we go back into this bullshit again.
Yeah. So I think this part sucks.
Yeah.
And
oh, wait, I like this.
Yeah, I mean, okay. It's interesting. So this is my low light of the album. Is this section, not the song? The song is like, I mean, the song's good. It's not the
This
rest
bridge
of the
is kind of weak.
Yeah, it's fine. It's just my thing is I get why this is on here. It's the title track. I do think The Bends is a great title for the album. The reason this album is called The Bends is Thom is comparing their rapid rise to fame and the disorienting effect of it to decompression sickness. So I think that's great. I like that lyrically and thematically. So I get why you're
on the nose, isn't it?
I think it's cool. And I get why you're going to have this song on the album. But there is actually a B-side that I think is super radio friendly, super catchy, and should have been a single that is not included on this album that I want to play for you that you may or may not know.
Ooh, curveball.
I did not know it until my deep dive on this album for the podcast. This also gets me into what I consider to be my hot take about this album in general, Zach, if I can lay this on you.
No, I'm ready.
Which is, I think that some of the B-sides are better than songs that are included on this album. Even though I really like this album, there are songs that I would lose and B-sides that I think would have been better. And we'll get into that more, why I it's total speculation on my part, but I have a theory about why some of the decisions might have been made by the band.
Deep State.
I do think that this is I think that this goes all the way to
It's a sign that Q left us 25 years ago.
exactly. This is, I think, Tom Hanks' clone, because that is a clone. That is not Tom Hanks.
God.
Made them keep it up. He was
What?
Have you not heard that? Yeah,
No.
That's like a Q thing. Is that
It's
like a lot
gotten
of these
crazier?
celebrities have been killed have been killed by the deep states, and those are clones.
Fuck, dude.
But that's a different podcast. I do want to talk about that. Would you say that Talking to My Girlfriend, I Wish It Was the 60s section, is that your low light of the album?
No, because that was a revelation, I think, within the last couple days that I was like, it never really quite hit right with me, but I have a low light and it's coming soon, but
Okay,
I'll
great.
keep it hidden.
So I like your theory that that's Ed's contribution because he's the
Me
handsome
too.
man and he must have a girlfriend. I have a different theory,
Tell me.
which is that Thom is like feeling a little self-conscious that everyone has associated him with being a creep and a weirdo, and then this album comes out and
Right.
he's like, hey, I have a girlfriend.
Yeah. Got a moderate size cock and it's really
Yeah,
good.
exactly. He's just like, I know I said
Relative
I'm a-
to my height, yeah.
Yeah. No, I think, first of all, I do think if we're going to speculate about penis size, I think Thom has big dick energy. But, that's neither here or there.
No, I was fully
And I'm not a
planning
size
on,
queen.
through the course of the episodes to speculate who has BDE relative to, or like who has BDE and who actually has BD.
Absolutely. Well, I think Thom
Has
probably has
BDE.
BD.
Okay.
And BDE.
I'm just going to hold off and say BDE for right now. But I think you raise a super, super, super good point. I don't want to tip my hand to
Thank
where I
you.
think this really comes.
Wow. Thank you for saying I raise a super, super good point.
No. Well, I mean,
love
probably
this.
because it
Love
ties
where
into
this is
to
going.
my point. So I, think it's a good point.
That's why you like my point.
I know, but no, I really think that they were like, okay, if you're gonna do something different, make a fucking good album, then we do kind of need to remarket this band a little bit because, I mean, even in the video for Creep, Thom Yorke's face is difficult to make out, so we just assume he's the silhouette. And there is a music video for one of the songs on this album, and you could tell that they were like, can we make this guy a sex symbol? And it decidedly doesn't work.
Interesting.
And, I mean, this is me projecting. I don't know if that was a conversation, but you never see that again in Radiohead's music videos because you never see them again in their music videos after
Yeah.
this. And
Or if you do, it's still there's still some like esoteric element, like his head being in the water tank in the No Surprises video.
yeah, or being like digitally rendered in House of Cards.
Yeah.
So I think that there was a little bit of an effort because in now to more than ever, disgraced comedian Louis C.K. actually has a bit about it, about like, why is everyone so good looking who's also an artist?
Yeah.
And I think that this was a time where, bring up our friends Green Day again, like
Yeah. Friend of the show.
not ugly, but not like those guys were musicians. They weren't athletes or models.
Right.
And there was an effort to kind of market bands, I think probably because the boy bands is like potentially like good looking, or hey, it's a, we get a two for here.
Right.
And Radiohead, more so than even Green Day, we've talked about their looks in a joking way. They are just Brits looking people, neither good nor bad. And I think the Girlfriend lyric and a couple of the music videos, along with a couple of the love songs, are the strong studio influence.
Sure, I could buy that. I could definitely buy that. And I got to tell you, I'm so curious what your low light is. I have a speculation about what song it will be. Yeah, I mean, I don't like the Girlfriend lyric. I don't like the production. I don't like that heavy distortion on the drums.
Me neither.
In general, I really like the production on this album, but what I think that that's just a moment that dates it. And I think that there are production choices that are still trying to sell this to the MTV generation in a way that Radiohead really gets away from in their future career. The other thing that makes that part my low light is the same reason the Jim Morrison lyric was the low light in the last one, is I realized I don't like that he mentions the 60s.
Me
because
neither.
Radiohead, even when they're being very specific in their targets later in their career, they wrap up their lyrics in like a certain amount of vagary that makes it more timeless. And Thom Yorke talking about this, I don't like him referencing things that are
100 years from now, people will be like, what, 1860s?
Yeah.
Like, what 60s?
Yeah. What's a radio? But like, yeah, I just don't like him like referencing something that specific. In the same way I don't like him referencing Jim Morrison, I don't want him talking about the 1960s.
Everyone was still
in a super on the nose
developing as songwriters. And I think that is one thing that is very clear. You were talking about Ed O'Brien, getting more involved on the guitar. I think Phil really grew as a drummer. We don't get a taste of our sweet older brother until the next album in terms of his brilliance. But, playing the bass is hard, guys, and you don't always get to shine. So everyone was still finding their voice. And I think Thom Yorke is a brilliant lyricist, and he was not yet tapped into that genius.
I will say, I do think that Colin in the opening track, we didn't highlight it, but he comes in with a really sick counter melody, which I think is what is super good about his bass playing. We're gonna listen to the intro Planet Telex again, but listen to when he comes in. He's going do 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 over the. It's really cool. So I'm gonna just skip ahead a little bit.
Could be that I only have the left.
There he is. Listen. Sorry. It's just cool. It's like he could be playing like the root notes there, and he's giving it way more rhythm.
Such a difficult instrument to be adventurous on, guys and girls.
Thank you. And so, okay, so we've covered 2 songs. So,
what was did you want to talk about a B-side or two? At least give me the titles.
We'll get to the B-sides.
Okay.
Let's get through the album tracks.
All right.
So far we've got what I consider to be a very strong statement piece is the opening, like, hey, we're doing something different. And then track 2, don't worry, we're still a rock band. If you came here from Pablo Honey, there's still a place for you here. And then
but we made it a little sweeter, Honey, though.
A song, if you're a casual Radiohead fan, there's a good chance you know.
A song that the studio said, guys, Sheryl Crow is really popular right now.
This is a very, very, very
shitty song.
Oh, you do not like this song?
No, I'm joking. No, of course I don't dislike it.
So this is a very radio-friendly song, very, very accessible, soft rock song. I happen to really love it. Zach, your thoughts.
And right
this
now
is
I'm
High
only
and Dry
apologizing
by
to you.
Radiohead.
But I want to apologize for saying it's a shitty song because
remember when I said on this podcast we don't apologize?
I breaking the rule, man. I feel bad for saying that. Like God will smote me. Fortunately, I'm an atheist though, so that's not going to happen. But I just felt a little bad in my heart because this is, I think, the second Radiohead song I learned how to play on the guitar, which is a very special thing. It's like yeah, when you learn how to play some songs of an artist you love, there's like a magical synapse firing. And I played this song for many months. But now listening to it, it's really hard. I was talking about like listening to music with a purpose earlier. You can't escape the fact that this is a verse, chorus with an extra chorus at the end, repetition wise. And it's kind of a little bit on the boring side, made boring by the fact that you know what is possible musically for this band to do. I don't know. That's a lot of expectation to put on a band in their second album, but it's the low point of the album for me, for sure.
This song is your low light?
Yeah.
Okay.
I loved listening to this album again. Like you, it had been some time. It had been 13 years for me. And I listened to the Bends nonstop for months when I was going through my Radiohead in chronological order in 2009. And I hadn't done that with this album in a while, and I was like not wanting to listen to the song again the second time through the album last night.
Okay, fair enough. I don't have a ton to add. I mean, it's a very basic song, very simple. I just think it's got a great melody, and it's, as far as like a 90s anthem is a little bit undeniable. It's not my favorite Radiohead song. It's not my favorite song on the album, but I like it. I'm surprised that is your low light, because do you mind if I skip to the next song?
Not at all. The vocals are good on this song. I want to say that much.
Yeah. So, and it's also, I think as far as placement in the album, I also think it's very smart that we've had kind of like
something to break the rock tension.
Absolutely. It's like the opening track is very spacey, and then we've got a very hard rocking song, and then it's like, hey, we're also
this
doing
solo
alternative
too
soft
is
rock.
So just come on, boys, you can do better.
It's poppy. It's a poppy song. And so then following High and Dry, we have what I thought was going to be Zach's low light of the album, Fake Plastic
And
Trees.
that's a common thing that people fall into, but
Is thinking that's going to be Zach's low light of the Bends.
that's what I thought was going to happen, because I usually skip this song too, but I think Thom Yorke's vocal work in this song is really, really, really great.
Yes, I like this song. I like the lyrics of this
Me
song
too.
a lot. It's a very emotional song. Now, the one thing I will say is, to me, this is the first sequencing issue on the album. I think it's bad placement to have this right after High and Dry, because it's arranged the exact same way.
But this is like track 7.
I think that they should break it up. And I think they run into this same problem later with Just and My Iron Lung.
I agree. Those songs need to be 3 songs apart.
Yeah, they're arranged the exact same way. The songs are completely different, and same with this and High and Dry.
But they do kind of run into one like Pocahontas soundtrack type song, where like I think this song is how do you just quantify better? But to me, it's more interesting. And they need some blocking in between them in the form of even like you don't put the Bends, the title track, in between this one, but there are other rock songs. Maybe put My Iron Lung in between the two of them.
I think even though the Bends is not a highlight of the album, for me, it makes sense to have it front loaded, because again, it's like it's a big song, and they're kind of like making their broier contingent feel safe.
Here's one benefit though to the sequencing issue, and I agree that is an issue on all Radiohead albums actually, but it does make the back half of the album so much fun to listen to. Like, when I was listening to it the last couple nights, I was like, oh, maybe I don't love the Bends as much as I thought I did. Nay, I just hadn't gotten to the back half.
Oh, wow. So that's a preview.
Oh, see, like that. He's really embracing the my voice is really, really pretty.
The song's beautiful. Now, does it make me sad? Because
does it wear you out?
Reminds me. Does it wear me out? Because it reminds me of my ex and us driving around listening to it in her car. Yes, but that's not Radiohead's fault, Zach. And you know what?
I'm literally almost emotional though, because that's just this song I have tied to a sad period in my life that is not necessarily tied to another person, but it is an emotional song. Like this part. Oh.
Yeah, so when I listen to this now, it makes me go like, my God, 20 years have passed, and and who am I, and should I be alive? Questions like, but like, listen, if you don't want music that is evocative and inextricably tied to highs and lows in your life and doesn't bring up feelings, then you should go fucking listen to Coldplay, because that's not what you're gonna get with Radiohead. This is the best part right here.
It's so great.
Yeah. So, if you're scared to feel things, go listen to another band is what I'm saying. And I'll also say go listen to another podcast, because we're not afraid to...
And also, do go listen to Coldplay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because Coldplay will really help you out by telling you when their albums will be released in the future and how many more they have left. The most un-Radiohead move of all time. Well, we're under contract to do 3 more albums, so we'll have our 3rd one out by 2025. I was like, wow, way to make music seem inorganic and manufactured, you fucking ex-husband of Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah, wow, really passionate.
Yeah, and he seems like a nice guy, too.
Now, almost as if Radiohead heard me say that this song brings up some painful memories and I want to be having a good time. Almost as if they were like, you know what, Walker, stick with us, even though that you're feeling some things that are
in the future.
No, that are challenging right now. We've done you a little favor, and we followed this song up with Bones. Now, this is a really sneaky favorite of mine on the
Nice.
album. What do you think about this song?
I always forget about this song.
Me too.
And I think this song feels like this is not an insult. Oh, this bass line. Come on, Colin.
This is the most
Come on, Colin. Get in the
derivative
pool.
of
Water's warm. Be awesome.
Yeah. Oh, can I have a standout moment on this album, boys?
Sure, and Ed, you even get to strum. Because Ed is doing the
This is the most Pixies derivative song on the
big
album.
time. Well, that's why it reminds me so much. Yeah, the chorus is very Pixies.
The loud, quiet, loud. The bass line is very Pixies, and even the song being called Bones and kind of body stuff is a real theme in Pixies.
Big time. Yeah, it's so funny when even it's not they're paying homage, or maybe they weren't even doing that, but when it's evocative of. Oh man, here it comes.
This chorus.
I like
rules.
what Johnny Greenwood is doing on the coming in. Because, and Ed, we love you, but Ed can't lay down that kind of groove.
No, I mean, and Johnny just plays with a lot of attitude.
Yeah, dude, that guy has been hard on his body, not like a David Bowie kind of way, but like David Bowie, dancing around hard, and he seems to just be no worse for the wear. That dude rocks out, and I guess the message there is live healthy, because Johnny Greenwood doesn't seem to be slowing down at all. It's so funny, too. I was joking about Ed, but I can play the guitar. As Radiohead told us, anyone can play the guitar. But when you watch them in their basement sessions in the In Rainbows era, he is focusing so hard on what he's doing, and I almost feel like maybe he has a little bit of stage fright. I don't know. Now I'm speculating too much, but I think that Ed is probably a really good musician, and he just has to focus really, really hard on his guitar parts, because they do seem very highly organized and not improvised whatsoever. That's how you know when Johnny Greenwood comes in, because he's just like, fuck, I'll lay it down.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Johnny Greenwood, his guitar playing only gets short shrift in my mind because he's so fucking good at everything else that I forget that he's also just a great rock guitarist.
He is, and I thank Rolling Stone for adding him as number 63 on 100 greatest guitar players of all time.
I mean, I would have loved if they moved him up 6 and made him number 69, but, I'll take it.
Down 6.
Yeah.
But yes.
Yes. Thank you.
I mean, number 1 is Jimi Hendrix, so I don't think he could have taken that spot. But I put him in my top 5. He's like that cool friend you have who can do a double backflip and never mentions it again.
Uh-huh.
Like when you get the fact that he can break out like John Frusciante.
He's like that friend we all have who can suck their own dick.
Gross. I was about to break another rule and apologize for saying fuck earlier, and I'm not going to do that.
I mean, we all have this friend.
I do not have that friend.
I mean,
is it you?
This is how I tell you. Yeah, we all have that friend
who's had a rib removed.
Yeah, that older brother who can and does suck his own dick. Okay, that song rules, in my opinion. As you hear, Nice Dream has started playing.
Yeah, this is an okay song.
That's interesting. So for me, when I was first listening to this album over the last couple weeks, this was one that I cut, and has become.
It has signs of what's to come with the other strings in the background, which I really like.
You know what, dog? This song has grown on me to be. Not only is it one of my, I think it's my favorite of the more low key songs on this album.
It's the number 2 spot in that section for me.
Second to Fake Plastic Trees?
No, I do like that song.
Oh, Street Spirit?
No, I still wouldn't put that in the slow.
Sorry, why don't I let you say it?
No, that's okay because I was stalling because I forget the name of the song that occupies the number 1 spot for me. But I don't know what the heck I was talking about, man. I love this song. I love as it...
oh, you love this song?
Yeah, and when I
Dream.
said it's an okay song, fuck me for trying to be, clever. No, Bulletproof, I Wish I Was, is my favorite slow song.
Okay.
This is my... Oh, and yeah, getting ahead of myself. But there you go, guys. Yeah, that's my first sneak peek that I tipped my hand on.
Wait, we got to your low light already was
High and Dry.
Okay.
Yeah.
How ironic for a song with the word high in the title to occupy the low spot. In
I
your
agree.
rankings.
Low
Wow.
and wet, too. Low and sloppy.
Low and wet like me when I'm sucking my own dick. Okay, so...
Nice pull.
Oh, wait, hold on.
I love...
these backing vocals.
Get ready for OK Computer, guys, because it's coming.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is... I guess that's all I have to say about this song, that it doesn't have the most distinct melody, and so upon this re-listen, where, like I say, I've been listening to the bend straight through for about 2 weeks now.
And he's doing some sick bends right there.
Yeah, it's a double meaning. It not only is decompression sickness, but also what you can do with the high strings of your electric guitar.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now that this song has kind of burrowed into my consciousness a little more, it's a favorite of mine on the album, which I was very surprised by because first few listens through, I'm like, this song is boring and they should have dropped it from the album.
Who do you think is strumming on the acoustic?
Thom.
Okay. Yeah. I thought maybe there's a chance Ed was strumming, but I've only ever seen him play an electric.
No,
so.
Ed doesn't know how to play guitar.
He learned on tour for Kid A, where there's very little guitar work.
Yeah, exactly. Ed knows how to hold a piece of metal over the strings that we assume is doing something super interesting because it looks weird. But
he's like, Jimmy Page used a violin bow.
Yeah.
I could kind of do that.
Yeah, I'm holding a magnet, yeah.
Oh, they're like, like a dobro. No, not like that. No.
So that's Nice Dream. I'm going to pause it for a second. Anything else you want to say about what we've heard so far? Or?
Just that we've been kidding around.
Yeah, we're having a lot of fun
with old Ed. But I
day.
teased earlier that I think he does have musical input. That is and I only know that from what I've seen him do live in later albums. And I just hold on to that because those songs are coming up, and I want to see if you agree. But I'm ready to move on. That song is great, though.
So I believe. Oh, I guess we haven't really talked about that. I believe Bones is the end of side 1 of this album, and so Nice Dream is the opening of side 2. And I think, even though I would switch Bones and Fake Plastic Trees, so I think that you just make the minor adjustment of going High and Dry, Bones, then Fake Plastic Trees. You get a nice effect of breaking apart those two more acoustic-based songs. But I do really, really like Nice Dream as a palate cleanser opening up the next side. And what it leads into is, in my opinion, an absolute peak of Radiohead at their most rocking.
Just play the song.
Thank you, Zach. Wait, I'm sorry. What's the title of this song that you just want me to play?
I forget.
This is Just by Radiohead.
A single.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, I guess we're in store for an acoustic. Oh, what?
Oh. What's he doing? Crank it up a little if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Well, I'm used to this melody, Walker.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Oh my God. An actual key change, not a falsely reported key change like me about Planet Telex. So this song is where I read the same thing that you said, that Johnny wrote the music to this song.
Mm-hmm. And you can tell.
Was trying to get in as many chords as possible.
Yeah, and this song...
Let's listen to this chorus.
That is different. So this song gives us so much of what we've heard and what we haven't heard. So the tremolo picking, we've heard that on Creep. Here it is right here.
So good.
And guys, this is like a guys. This is
everyone hold up.
This is not overly complex for like the amateurish guitar player, but it's not easy to write. That's the thing that Radiohead do so well, is like a lot of their songs are really difficult to play on any instrument. But this is why, yes, Dragon Force are a better band in terms of their
Than
skill.
Radiohead.
Yes, than anybody on the planet. But their music is not more interesting because it's what you do and how you deploy it. And the tremolo picking over a diminished scale, I want to say, is really, really hard to write into a song. And they do it amazingly.
Yeah, I think this song is, for me, is probably the height of the album. Just in terms of it combining everything you're saying, that they're doing weird art rock, but this song is also like a headbanger.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it's like, actually, if I could just shut up, because this is
Yep, we're going to change keys again.
Section. First of all, the fucking tone on that guitar.
It's so clean. It's very Strat. Like this would not come through on a Gibson.
And now we're also in. It's seamlessly blended together to completely different musical sections here, and then this crazy tremolo solo. That might be Ed right there doing that weird scratchy.
I think so. Maybe live, but I think that this all feels like a Johnny Greenwood.
So this song to me just represents like the peak of their powers at this point, because it's basically going like, yeah, we hear you, Seattle grunge, like we are aware of you, and we see you, and we raise you a bunch of fucking weird Johnny Greenwood chords, and that it's seamlessly blending those things so well. And we are about to approach what, for me, is the musical highlight of the entire album.
Right
as
at
we
the
go, because right here we have the birth of groove Radiohead. Right, locked into the what the fuck?
It's okay.
Locked into the groove.
Yep, because the song could have ended and been amazing.
Right here, this is
I hear Colin.
Right here, grooving. And I'm coming. Because right there, when that guitar kicks in, fuck yes. So that to me is the first example we've got of what is one of my favorite versions of Radiohead, is what I call groove Radiohead, where they are just locked into a groove, just the chops on display, like Colin, Phil, so locked into the groove there, and then the guitar players can noodle around on top of that, and it's really, really nice. And I think that defines the best moments of future albums, Hail to the Thief, and a strength that they are really, really reveling in Rainbows, is kind of Radiohead. A lot of those songs feel very, very locked into like, oh, we came up with this groove, this bass line, or this line on the synth or the sampler, and then we build the song on top of that, even though it's just the end of that song. it feels like they could have built a whole song around that little section if they wanted to.
Yeah. This is the song I think I'll have the most to say about because I was really on my phone because I was looking for the YouTube channel that has maybe a 10-minute video on this song. It's by David Bennett Piano, and it's called How Radiohead Used Modes. So it's not about this song in the title. I think a second ago I said that Johnny Greenwood is playing a diminished scale in tremolo picking. I don't know if that's correct, but he's playing a non-traditional scale. It's not major or minor, so we'll just leave it there. So hold your letters. But yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting guitar work on display, and I think the music video. Did you get a chance to watch a music video anytime recently?
Video.
I think that is like. I don't want to say work of genius, but it's very much like Radiohead got creative control, and that probably has to do with
conceptual.
Yeah, it probably has to do with how successful the album had been. It does not feel like a first single video because they feel like they got a decent amount in the authorship of it. Like, oh, I want it to be this because it's kind of bifurcated. There's like a story happening that feels very Karma Police as far as music videos, and like a story that is sort of artsy but like is puzzling, almost creepy. I think maybe
That's
the movie
unsettling.
Us was inspired by this music video.
Oh, sure.
And I'm half joking, but it also is funny because talking about that they didn't quite like the studios, maybe even the band didn't know how to market Thom Yorke just yet. I think this is the music video where they're like, could he be a sex symbol? Is that possible? He's wearing a leather jacket. He's jerking around like we're going to see in Kid A, but trying to organize it. And this is just speculation, and I am being half funny, but I honestly think that this music video is a really, really interesting story of what's going on in the band right now. Because for all the praise I just gave it, in that video I was speaking of, he points out what song this sounds like and wow, it's different. It does sound a lot like Smells Like Teen Spirit, which is a great song, but it's different because they are not doing power chords on the acoustic guitar. And a power chord, folks, especially on electric, is neither major nor minor. It's just the lower two strings. And Radiohead don't do that. The opening chord progression is C major to E flat to D to B flat, but they're all fully formed chords. That's why it gives it, when you listen to it, whether you care about any of that shit or not, you're like, oh, different. Because it sounds like something, sounds like Teen Spirit, but it's not. And I'll shut up about that from there.
No, that's it. Those are great observations.
That is the song that makes my top 10 of all Radiohead songs.
I have not worked out my top 10 Radiohead songs, but it's certainly my favorite of their rock songs from this era.
Certainly it can't be equal.
It's an incredibly good song. Yeah. But then we stay in this mode, and the next song we get, another single from the album, My Iron Lung.
Well, what is happening to my brain?
This is a great song.
This is a great song. Not as good as its predecessor, but almost as good for me, and made better by the fact that, like, I have a really positive memory associated with this song, which involves you.
Oh.
And I hadn't got the album from the library yet. And this was summer 2008, so Post in Rainbows, you're full on, like, on fire for Jesus, for Radiohead, sorry. Yeah. And I smoked a little weed.
Okay.
You were,
Mom and Dad, turn off the podcast if you're listening.
It was one of those visits, though, to the Bay when it was just like, you know, I knew I'd get exposed to good shit, and I was, you know, wanting to. And it was just like every time I would come down that year, you'd be like, oh, so you liked Scotch Mist, huh? Well, let me show you some old Radiohead. Usually when people are like, let me show you old Aerosmith, you're like, yeah, it sucks. You know, or whatever. But I just remember hearing this song, and maybe it was, you know, it was like my 5th time smoking weed, so it was like magical. And this song is very psychedelic and trippy as is. And I just remember being in the back seat and just being like, holy shit, this might have been the tipping point for me to investigate further on my own, which I don't know why I hadn't done. But I was just like, whoa, I didn't know that bands could be this good on their second album. My mind was blown.
I wish I remembered that. Once again,
take my word for it.
Your very strong memory. I wish I could have experienced.
But you have those, like with Jesse Rimler, maybe, right? Like when he showed you a song.
Sure, yeah. I mean, but I think that you just have a better memory in general. I remember hearing the Velvet Underground for the first time in Jesse and his bandmate John's car, and then blasting "I'm Waiting for the Man."
How do we feel about this part?
I love it.
Okay.
I don't love the effect on his vocal.
Me neither.
I love this section because to me this is the seeds of what will become the rock section of Paranoid Android.
Yeah, I agree. It's a little too much vocal manipulation, or maybe just in the wrong way. I love the way it gets clean there again and comes back.
I think this section's super cool. It always catches me. It's like very like jarring in a great way, the way it switches to that. I just don't think you need that telephone effect, and this is another one of those production choices that to me is just doesn't ruin the song.
Dude, I would love to see him play
dated.
this song live now to see if they do anything a little bit different to kind of clean it up, because the song, God, this
I don't
is
think
so
they even really play songs from the Bends.
No, they don't, but this is so tight.
And you really feel the three guitar players
Yes.
in this song.
God, his vocals in this song, ladies and gentlemen, are outstanding throughout. See, so the song to me needs a build like that because the verses are so eerie. I don't love that it builds to this. I wish it's like... see, this is good because I agree with you. We are hearing shades of what's to come. I do love the breakdown we got coming up here as vocals. Yeah. Talking about them vocals, folks.
I mean,
Johnny Greenwood cannot play a normal solo. No. It's so great.
He's not a normal guitar player.
He's special.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess if you take anything away from this podcast, we think Johnny Greenwood is a good musician. That's our hot take.
And if you're frightened, we could be frightened.
This is, I think, a great little bridge between these two bridges.
Not overly complex what he's doing.
No, just great sustain. I guess I shouldn't sing along into the mic.
No, but the way he belts out that note, step aside, Bono. I've got my own voice.
Yeah, sit down, Bono. Or should I say, bitcho.
He's like, I'm already sitting in Ireland. I'm not even in the same region as you right now.
I don't even think about you.
He's like, I'm on fire with Zooropa right now, okay?
Yeah.
What? No, 95.
Yeah, that would be about right.
Yeah. So interesting parallel. They're actually kind of inverse of one another.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else you want to say about My Iron Lung?
Just, I love your Paranoid Android call because the conclusion is very much in that vein.
So,
no,
okay, I'm
let's
sorry,
get
I
it.
didn't mean to cut you up. So,
No.
did I understand you correctly that this next song is your favorite song on the album, or just your favorite of the more acoustically oriented?
Yeah, like in the ambient slow songs.
Okay.
This is my favorite.
So this is Bulletproof ellipses. I wish I was getting a little bit cunty with the with the arty fartiness.
Yeah, the naming
titling
convention
here.
is not the greatest.
So we had a little bit of a slight technical problem there, but what you're hearing right now.
You look
Case
so
got
scared.
cut. Well, it's scary. It's scary when it tells you your audio and MIDI are not synchronizing correctly. But we're listening to Bulletproof. I Wish I Was by the band
Radiohead.
Radiohead.
Yeah.
Radiohead.
Tom York's a really, really, really good guitar player, guys. And gals. I don't know. I need to stop doing that. Folks. He has a unique style in so many ways. His rhythm playing is really interesting in this song and in a lot of others, and that you can always hear that on the acoustic. And he does a lot of like kind of dissonant chords that have open strings, open notes that other people can't really sing well over. And there's a lot happening. There's a lot of that happening in the song. It's a fun one to learn how to play. Really, really difficult to replicate.
Okay.
Not a ton else to say.
No, that
love when
wasn't
the chorus hits,
This was
so.
That okay was a introduction to what is.
This could be Ed. This is where I think Ed O'Brien injects
Finger picking.
exactly, because there's some sweet footage, guys, on YouTube of them recording this album. They are all dressed cooler than anyone in the 90s has ever looked. And Ed O'Brien didn't write Street Spirit, but he, on the recording of that song, plays guitar throughout. And I've noticed it's not that they just give him the melodic kind of finger-picking minor high-pitched notes to play. I think that is his contribution from a writing perspective. He really, really loves on. There's this. I don't want to get ahead of it, but this kind of stuff is definitely an Ed O'Brien interjection. I think I shouldn't say that like I know.
So here's something that I got to be honest about, man. After My Iron Lung, the final third of this album. So this album has 12 songs, and these final 4 are a snooze for me. And this song, Bulletproof, for me, is one I cut from the album.
Okay.
It's pretty.
You'd leave. What was the one?
Well, there's B-sides that I really like. Nice Dream, even though that one initially did not grab me on this re-listen a lot. But this is where I get into some speculative territory. I feel like there are better songs in the B-sides than this one. But Radiohead is very, very keen to be taken seriously at this point. This is, like I say, this is all speculation. But I feel like maybe a Bulletproof makes it on instead of a couple of these B-sides that I'm going to play that I am a bigger fan of than this and a few of these other songs. Because some of the B-sides, a lot of the B-sides are very straight ahead and very catchy melodies. And a song like Bulletproof or the album closer, Street Spirit, are a little more Radiohead begging to be taken seriously. And I'm not saying they're bad songs.
Totally.
And I'm not saying that they are not absolutely worthy of being taken seriously at this point in their career. I just think that them asking to be taken seriously is less noticeable on the albums that follow this one. It sounds more effortless. It absolutely isn't. There's blood, sweat, and tears going into that
No, but
work.
that's a really good way to put it.
But with this song, it feels to me a little bit like they're like, hey, we don't want to be the creep band anymore, but the songwriting just isn't as effortless. It sounds a little labored, and I just don't think that the melody is really there.
On Bulletproof or the last third, like you were saying? Just all those songs?
Well, honestly, the next 2 songs for me, I've listened to this album nonstop for 2 weeks, and I could not even hum you the fucking melody of Black Star or Sulk.
Are you okay?
No, I just think that they are just, well, we'll play them.
What did we want to inject your B-sides, or is that fully after?
We'll listen to those afterwards, but
Okay.
I just don't get these next 2 songs.
Black Star, for me, I
This is Black
love
Star
this
playing
song,
with that.
but I think the titling of the track and therefore the chorus is really weak. Blame it on your Black Star. No, thank you, Tom.
Yeah.
But I think the vocals are very strong, and I think the lead into the chorus is pretty predictable but really good. And we don't have to listen to the whole song, but the last verse,
Definitely get through one chorus.
there's a harmony overlaid, and it's one of my favorite vocal parts of this whole album. I keep falling over, I keep passing out. It's that part.
I see. Yeah,
And Colin.
Look, I'm not offended by it. There is not a song on this album that I think is a bad song. Here's the chorus. Zach is closing his eyes, mouthing the words. He looks completely lost in the music. This is the transcendent power of music. And there's also what's beautiful is it's a subjective experience. And so for me, Black Star doesn't move me a lot. For Zach, High and Dry doesn't move him a lot. But they're both on there for each of us to, have our own individual experiences, our own, what's the word when something is tailored, our own tailored experience, Radiohead, experience. May I skip to the next song?
I'm ready.
This next song, Soul, is another one for me that
This song would be my cut.
Okay. Yeah, it just... I'm gonna. Just not a lot.
Well, I
going
think
on
too
here.
part of the
Skipping
problem with
ahead.
like a lot of these slow songs, guys. I am down for a long intro that doesn't tell you what the song's going to be, but you can't do it on every one of your slow songs. Like have just like a mysterious kind of noisy. Might not even
We're a
be
minute and a
instrumental.
half in. It's still doing this same 3
Yeah.
notes on the guitar.
Come on, we know you're better than this. We've heard it on previous songs.
Which again, to me, it's like they're just really trying to show that they're very, very serious musically, and I just think that it's a little premature for how serious they actually get. They're just not. They're kind of writing checks that their asses can't cash here a little bit. Whereas by the time you get into
Are you like 55 all of a sudden?
it just is like I don't know. Well, we'll get.
I do think what's so interesting
This is
that
another very U2 sound.
it is, but I think vocally, like, and I don't know if albums are recorded like movies are shot where they're out of sequence, but like the background of this
Well,
album
for sure, it's out of sequence. Yeah.
does feel like, well, then maybe they just chose to do it that way, but like I feel like the vocals are more like freed up and unique, even though this song is kind of a snooze fest for me. Yeah.
See, I feel like Bulletproof, Black Star, and Sulk are crammed into the end of the album because there is maybe an intuitive understanding that these are less strong. And to me, it's no surprise, or no coincidence, rather, that they come after the orgasmic peak of Just and My Iron Lung.
Right, but when you were talking about that, maybe the like kind of take me seriously songs feel effortless, more effortless, and like less.
Just less try-hard.
The song "No Surprises" on the next album is a great example of where it does move you. It moves me, and I think it moves you, and it does feel so much less like written with that intentionality.
I agree.
So,
I agree.
Sorry,
So,
guys,
you know,
there's a
I
little-
mean, it's just, I would say that this, for me, this back third of the album is indicative of a little bit of the growing pains. And then we get into the final song, and I want to kind of pass it off to you while this last song is playing, Zach, and just hear your thoughts on Street Spirit, parenthetical, Fade Out.
I
The
think
somber closer of Radiohead, The Bends.
I think this song is great on the album. I think it's a little hard for me to be objective because that same visit where I listened to My Iron Lung, you put this song on, maybe felt a little bit differently 13 years ago because you're like, listen to this song. And I was like, you know, it is a very hooky
Gosh,
melody.
I love these
It was the visit
memories you
when-
have of me just being like, I gotta blow your mind with this now, and I
Yeah.
have just zero memory of any
Well,
of this.
do you remember when that person was trying to cut in front of everyone in the Jack in the Box drive-through? It was that visit.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, somebody was not obeying the social contract, folks. I'll just sum it up that way. And Walker was having none of it. And
we were in. It sounds like we were in a Jack in the Box drive-through, which I'm going to guess is not disconnected from the fact that you mentioned that marijuana was consumed on this.
yeah, and alcohol, and we were driving.
Oh, great!
No,
We made it out alive, folks.
it was that visit, and but the reason I remember it is because it was like a Radiohead themed visit, and yeah, I was hooked because this song is really I keep saying hooky, but like it has a very, very good melody,
Really strong melody.
and I think that's fine. I love what he's doing on the drums. Very simple. I think this song is hard for me to be objective though because I think, Walker,
Okay.
that this
Listen,
song
Zach.
is the biggest preview of what's to come musically. Not necessarily that they'll close albums this darkly, but like the arrangement of the song, the mood, the all of it. But I do prefer. We don't necessarily have to listen to it. We can listen to a second of it. I do prefer the live version of the song from this era.
Let's play a little bit of that live version.
Yeah. Could skip like a minute in because Thom Yorke's vocals are a little bit restrained on the studio version.
Hopefully, there's not going to be a fucking ad that plays.
Well, whatever product it's recommending, we don't
endorse.
take responsibility for it.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Let's go, Toast.
So it looks like it's recommending people rent a car from Hertz.
Ooh, I've never done that, but I'm not big on
I've
renting
rented
cars.
a car from Hertz before.
Yeah?
You know what? I had a positive experience.
Okay. I've always been a enterprise man.
Sure. And you're brand loyal. What was the one that OJ did the advertisement
Hertz.
for? Hertz. Okay. Yeah, that's why I'm a Hertz man. Because,
So yeah, go like a minute in.
Okay, so skip.
You guys have heard Street
58.
Spirit.
So
Okay,
this
listen
is-
to these vocals. Tom's rocking a 12-string. It's just he and Johnny on a stage. I'm setting the scene for you here, guys. Very 90s. He's wearing a baggy button-up T-shirt. Johnny
definitely
Greenwood
some-
is wearing his signature arm brace from rocking out too fucking
Tom
hard.
looks like there's some product in his hair.
So-
Not just some peroxide dyeing it blonde, but maybe some gel.
We're going to listen to this verse going into the chorus, and then we'll shut it off, because I think this is so superior to the album version. And you know what, guys? You can tease me. He is, like, fully emotionally invested in this song, and it really makes you, I think, makes you realize how powerful it is. This guy can really sing.
Ooh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
That's a better vocal performance than is on
You
the
can
album.
double click it 10 seconds back if you want. It's incredible. Listen to the sustain.
Wow. Yeah, I like that vocal.
We can,
performance better than on the album.
We can finish it out. It is outstanding. Okay, well, no, turn it back up. Listen to what he does here. It's a Radiohead podcast, so you didn't come here for this shit.
Go listen to Coldplay.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a great analysis of it was all yellow happening somewhere in the world. So this, we can let it play in the background, but this is why I love this song so much, because of this performance. And there's a couple others. There's one of he and Johnny in Japan playing. I always love when bands play in Japan or like the Philippines.
You gotta play in Japan.
You gotta play in Japan. The food alone is worth the trip. But it's a very special song, and I don't know what else to say about it. It is a little dramatic if you're just going off the album version and the music video, but it's performances like this that really... Oh my God, this guy can sing. This is a perfect time for me to interject my correction from last week. I said Thom Yorke's legato when speaking about his strengths as a singer.
Yeah, Zach has been really...
I remembered on the
ruined
drive
that he
home,
said
and I don't know
the
how
wrong
I
word.
remembered it, but I was like, legato, vibrato. His vibrato, folks, is second to none, in my opinion, as a singer. And that is really, really impressive, because Thom Yorke is known for singing very high-pitched falsetto, which is only one of his many tricks that he can pull off. But his vibrato, not just in this live performance, is really, really outstanding. And I think an underrated element of his singing. That's all I got on Street Spirit.
I agree with that. I mean, so if I could just, have a little bit of a contrarian take here, I can't disagree with anything you're saying. It's a very, it's a very beautiful song. To me, it is a little bit, again, falls into this category of just begging a little bit to be taken seriously in a way that I just think they will accomplish much more deftly and subtly in their future work. Mm-hmm. They're still a young band at this point. Mm-hmm. This is better than any song I've ever fucking written. So, take this with a grain of goddamn salt. But it just... it's doing a thing that Radiohead does a lot, mm-hmm. Where the dun 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 dun.
It's almost like Danny Elfman wrote this song.
So that melody is going through the entire song,
yep.
And then the root chords change over
mm-hmm.
it, which is something they'll do a lot. I think
what else do they do that in?
They do that in lots of songs.
Okay.
A example off the top of my head would be like Spinning Plates on Amnesia.
Okay.
And I think that this effect is a little more impactful when Tom starts writing on the piano. And
Totally.
just the fact
a really
that it's
good call.
a 3 guitar song.
It's It's relentless, but a little bit repetitive.
It's a little bit repetitive, and
relentless.
it just puts it a little bit into like a classic rock territory that I don't mind in general, but is not necessarily what I'm looking for in my Radiohead.
Totally. I think what it's saving grace too, when it gets a little bit repetitive, even on the album version, is that the closeout, and this is where I was saying I think it's a sign of what's to come, which just brings me tingles and jingles, because the closeout of Immerse Your Soul in Love is E major, or sorry, G to E major. We've only seen an E minor thus far, folks. Back to A minor. Now, that's not overly fascinating, except to say that that's basically an inverse of what we had heard previously. And Radiohead don't do a ton of mind-blowingly weird chord progressions in this album, and that is not mind-blowingly weird, but they get a lot weirder in the next album, so that's why I get excited. You could tell they're starting to really play around with what they could do melody-wise.
So that's the studio cuts of the Bends. I think it's a great album, even if they have better albums that will follow it. May I show you a couple of these? I don't know exactly how many songs I lose from the album necessarily. I like I said, less of a fan of that back half, or not back half rather, because the back, but that last third. Now there are some B-sides that I think are at least as good or better than some of the songs on the album that my speculation is were maybe cut because they're just a little bit straightforward, and Radiohead is not wanting to be seen as a straightforward rock band at this point. This song, this first one I'm going to play you, my controversial take, Zach, is not only am I flummoxed as to why this is not on the album, I think this is a single. I think this is a song that should have been like a lead single on the album. It is so goddamn catchy. Do you know the song Killer Cars?
I have not heard it in so many years, dude. So
okay,
I'm pretty
so we're gonna play a
it.
little bit of Killer Cars. This song's so catchy, I was like, maybe it was a cover. It is not. It is a Radiohead song, Killer Cars. I think you fucking lose Black Star and Sulk and put this on the
I'm
album,
open.
and you got yourself another hit.
Killer Cars.
You can see why maybe it's like maybe a little more. I want to be pursued, but listen to this chorus. Man, really good.
Favorite of those cutters.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
I've heard this song. I just want to, I forgot about it. I didn't know
It
that
was new to me.
B-side from this era.
I'm kind of diving into these B-sides. I get it. You're not going to
major
leave the
Weezer
title track.
vibes just on this one. I know, guys, it's hard to remember that Weezer were once a good band.
Yeah.
That might be debatable. The Blue Album and Pinkerton are fun records, and these harmonies and the aggressiveness. Weezer wouldn't go to a minor there, but
It's a really driving song.
yeah,
I think it's a better rock song than the title track. Which obviously I don't think you leave off the album or anything, but I think this is a better single than the Bends.
well, I'm not annoyed by any of the recording techniques so far. So, ooh, I like it.
Yeah, it's a hard rock song, and then I'm gonna let this one play all the way through because it does something.
Bill on the drums. Those are some good fills.
And then, right?
Yeah, I'm into
It's a great song.
I'm into it. Welcome to the playlist song. I'm talking to my phone.
The song's over.
Oh,
that was good.
Was that a tight 2 minutes?
Oh!
Real trick me.
Yeah, fucking close it out with a guitar solo.
God, I hate when rock bands have like guesting so and so, but I think Rivers Cuomo could have legit guest on this song.
Yeah, it's a very thrashy, driving 90s rock song. I love it.
Oh, dude.
Unfortunately,
Ooh,
I'm
the
not gonna have time to
vocals.
go over every B-side. There's a lot of B-sides.
Can you
from this
just
song.
name me the titles?
Yeah, this is Killer Callers that we're listening to.
Sure. I have heard this one. It's been many years.
There's lots of B-sides. Like they're going through an incredibly prolific period. Here's another one that I like enough that I think it could be included. That's more in the Fake Plastic Trees, High and Dry vein. It's called "How Can You Be Sure." I think it's a love song. It sounds like it's like a song about being in love with somebody and.
The guitar is already more interesting though than High and Dry or Fake Plastic Trees.
But pretty basic chord progression.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's like maybe an EA chord progression. So
Yeah.
maybe it's just too similar to High and Dry to include on the album.
Well, hey guys, cut High and Dry. Put this shit on there.
Zach's Lowlight.
Oh, I've heard this song too, man.
Yeah, this is one I knew before that I didn't know.
But
was
how can you be sure? Sorry. Okay. All right. I'm at the end of my rope here.
Won't play this whole song, but I wanted to get to like kind of the chorus. But it's like a sweet song. I think it's a love song. Like I say, I don't know it sounds to me like it's like a song about the fear of somebody you love maybe not loving you back.
Because you might be a creep or a weirdo.
Yeah. And you're like, you know what? Can we put a lyric on the album that tells everyone I have a girlfriend?
And then I'm talking to her.
Yeah. So this is. Is it good? And it's vocal.
Better.
Right. This is better than our lowlights in the album. I think you might be right. I think this actually. I think I'll agree that this is a better song than High and Dry.
Wow, his vocals were not finished. I fucking love it.
Yeah, really good. So that's How Can You Be Sure, which I think is very beautiful and very sweet.
Is there a question mark after? Is there a question mark in that title?
There is.
Yeah, another thing they do, guys, you and Who's Army, they will ask questions in their song titles.
Now, for me, this next one is a little more well-known for B-side because it ended up in Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet.
It's got cussing in it,
Talk
too.
show host, has an F-bomb in it.
I know how to play this song.
This is one they clearly like because they have put it in live sets a lot over the years. I think, to me, this is the one that I think is a more confident version of the note that they're kind of striking with Street Spirit.
It just
Like, if you want to end the album on a serious note and kind of a down note, I think this is good. I actually even like the idea of putting this more in the middle of the album, losing Street Spirit and closing with Nice Dream.
Yeah, I think that this song is so a sign of what's to come because
I was shocked. I thought this was a OK Computer B-side until we got it because it's so much more OK Computer.
It is, and it strikes that confidence that I think you were longing for a bit because this song doesn't ever quote unquote go anywhere. It's so confident in its melodic structure. It doesn't need to have you build to a solo or anything. There's that F-bomb.
Yeah, you're right.
It's so confident.
Well, if I may say, if I can repeat myself, it's a groove.
Yeah,
This
and
is a song that's like structured around, okay, we've just got this really...
This reminds me of Air, the band.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
So
this is definitely like kind of...
Oh, okay, right here. This. That's confidence.
Yeah, honestly, if there's any reason for this not to be on the album, maybe it's because it just doesn't sound like anything else on the bends. Because it is more OK Computer.
It is. And this sounds like OK Computer as well. The way the drums are. He is, dude. And he does that bass player thing. Listen to Colin.
Yeah, we love Colin on Colin. So
great
there's
song.
more. Check them out. I just think that you take this album from a great album to a perfect album if you find a place for those 3 songs.
I blame it on my Black Star that it's not. But I don't think that album, The Bends, could be perfect unless it had songs from other albums on it. But I think you blew my mind with those B-sides. I'd heard Talk Show Host obviously many, many times. I can always picture Claire Danes' wrinkly cry face when I hear it. But
yeah, Claire Danes is a scary crier, man.
yeah, big time. But you know who's not scary to look at is Leo DiCaprio, and he's in that movie too.
Yeah.
But maybe that's why they, like you were saying, maybe that's why it's not on there, because they were riding that wave of Baz Luhrmann.
For sure. And yeah, and it's definitely a sound that they'll explore more. Final thoughts on the Bends?
I would ask you, only on a scale of Radiohead, guys, we're coming to the table as like a very, very big fan, so we get to give grades between an A and a C. What would your letter grade be? Are you willing to give it a letter grade? It's okay if you're not.
So wait, so the lowest grade I'll give any Radiohead album is a C? So like Pablo Honey.
Correct.
Gets a
Yeah,
C?
they can get that.
Can I give Pablo Honey a C minus just
Yeah.
to like change the scale slightly?
Yeah, I mean, you can.
Okay, if Pablo Honey is a C minus, and if Kid A is an A plus.
Mm-hmm. Kid A plus.
Thank you. I'll give this album a B plus.
Nice. I would give it a B minus,
Okay.
but I would give Pablo Honey a C.
I guess I might be including the B sides in that grade.
Oh, then I would for sure give it a B plus. It gets an 87%.
They're in a space here that I think is a really, really fun evolution of their sound. I'm glad that this isn't the ceiling of their growth. If it is, I don't think Radiohead becomes, my favorite band.
No,
They just become
yeah.
a band. They become more in that Weezer category of like, oh, I really love this album.
Totally. I would give this a B plus without the B sides, but for sure with them I would, because I'm just thinking about albums to come and what letter grades I would give them. So yeah, 87% for me.
I've nothing to add. I really enjoyed listening to this album so much. I think it's gonna remain higher in my rotation than it was. So already this podcast is accomplishing what I want, which is giving me a new appreciation for certain aspects of Radiohead that have been kind of secondary to the parts of them that I'm more obsessed with. In the meantime, we know that when listening to Radiohead podcasts, you have many choices, and we are very thankful that you chose to spend your time with the Glenwood brothers. And on that note, I am older, lamer brother, Colin Walker Glenn Wood.
I haven't come up with a combo yet. So. I'm Zach, and I thank you for stopping by.
All right. Thanks, folks. We'll see you next time. Bye. Idiotalk is a Glenn Brothers production. Get in touch with us at idiotalk.podcast@gmail.com or follow us on Instagram at idiotalk.podcast. And thanks for listening to